All right, sticking with the annual tradition for anyone who does sports betting related content, here's my version on the Wong Teaser. If you're new to betting sports, it may be the simplest, most proven edge that anyone with half a brain can find when betting the NFL. Now, the original version of the Wong Teaser is kind of old and outdated. The core principles are still needed, but we can add on to them for like an optimized version. And I'll post a checklist at the end with all the rules. But first, I don't want to just assume everyone knows what a teaser is. After all, we have thousands of people paying clueless cappers on social media for their opinion on games, so I have to assume the majority of bettors are either very inexperienced or just slow in the head. So if you know what a teaser is already, just bear with me here. This part isn't for you. I'll try to make it quick and get to the good stuff shortly. Now, for the most part, teasers are lumped in with parlays as sucker bets. A lot of these different types of combo bets where, they were created by the casinos and bookies so the bettor can have more fun losing money. A teaser is a combo bet similar to a parlay, but you don't get the parlay payout odds. Instead, you're given points to change the point spread. Here's a chart, but we're only going to focus on the 2 and 3 team teasers using 6 and 6.5 point teasers. That's going to be our wheelhouse here. It's simple. You get 6 points to adjust the point spread in your favor for each leg. So, for example, let's say you like the Chargers and Panthers, both plus 2.5, and a 6.2 team teaser. You would get them both at plus 8.5. If they both cover the 8.5, you win your bet. Simple enough, right? Now, it's important to understand they're called teasers for a reason. And teasers, like parlays, increase the advantage the sportsbooks have over us as bettors, but we can kind of chip away at the house edge and in some cases completely remove it by just following a few simple rules. Now that we know what a teaser is, the next step is we must know what the key numbers are in the NFL. I recently did a video on this. It went viral, at least by my standards. 200 views for me is a lot. If you somehow missed that video, the NFL key numbers are 3 and 7. They're the most common margin of victory in an NFL game. 3 points being the most common. 15% of all games end by 3, and almost 10% of games end by 7. So the primary rule in the Wong teaser is always teasing across the key numbers of 3 and 7. By doing this, your bet is like effectively covering more than 1/3 or 4 of the 5 most common margins of victory. So just to be clear on what teasing through key numbers means is using the 6 points you get to across, to go across the key numbers of 3 and 7. So let's say Seattle Seahawks plus 2. 6 point teaser would bring them to plus 8, crossing 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is what's meant by teasing through the key numbers. But here's the catch: you need to pick two teams. So let's say Denver minus 7.5. Applying the 6 points there would bring them down to minus 1.5, crossing through 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. But just simply covering the key numbers isn't enough to turn teasers into a profitable position on its own. So we got to continue here. Teasers are at their best when the market is efficient. And what I mean by this is we want the point spread to be strong or accurate. The closer the final score ends to the point spread, the better it is for us because we're moving that point spread. Basically, we don't like randomness when teasing. So, next set of rules are attempting to remove some of that randomness or variance. Eliminating road favorites as a teaser option is one way we can do that. Road favorites of 7 points or more cover only 40% of the time and they don't win straight up enough. And a reason for this is when there's like a mismatch significant enough for the road team to be favored by a touchdown or more, it's safe to assume the market is inflating the better team. And the numbers show road favorites of 7 points or more as a negative subset, especially when compared to the home favorites of 7 points or more. Um, the 6 points we get on a teaser, they help, but not enough to turn like a negative subset into a positive. In fact, you'll notice a lot of times when a teaser wins, you'll almost never need the points. It's nice when those 6 points are the difference, and it's going to happen, but not as much as you would think. Another way we can limit some of this variance is only teasing teams that are involved in what expects to be lower scoring games. High scoring games have more variance, so we can benefit by only selecting games that have a listed over under of 50 points or less. Um, but the lower the total, the better. 50 points isn't just a random number either. 7 touchdowns is 49 points, and the average difference between the closing point spread and the actual margin of victory for games with an over under of 49 points or less is around 9 points. On games with an over under of 50 points or more, that average margin jumps up to 12.5 points. That's more than a field goal difference. So games with a total of 49 points or lower will tend to fall closer to the point spread, which again The closer the final score is to the original point spread, the more likely it is we cash our teasers because we are adjusting that original point spread. All right, last rule about efficiency is timing the market and when to place the teaser. Normally, when betting, it's beneficial to get out in front of line moves and bet early into weaker lines. But we want efficiency, and the lines are at their strongest closer to kickoff. The closer it is to kickoff, the more accurate the point spreads are, because it has all the relative information factored into the number. So let's start to recap these optimized teaser rules here. And just to be clear, these teasers aren't based on like my opinion. I didn't just come up with these or what I think is best. It's an optimized version of the Wong teaser strategy based on results of like 25 years of data over 2,000 NFL games. So each rule is backed by math and historical data. Which I'd love to explain, but nobody's going to watch this video this long if anyone's even watching now. Now, not in any order of importance, here's the checklist. I discussed the why for most of these rules, but for some I didn't. I'll quickly explain why. Like, we want to stick to 6 point and 6.5 point teasers. I know it's natural to think 7 points is more, so it must be better. The problem is you have to pay more juice, and you don't increase the amount of times you win. In other words, the 7 points doesn't make a big enough difference for it to be worth the juice you have to pay. Let's see, never tease to zero. And the reason is you want every point you are given to have maximized value. Um, Look at it like you're paying for these 6 points you get in a teaser. Teasing across zero is basically wasting a full point because ties are so rare in the NFL, so that half point on either side of zero is essentially like wasting a full point. Never tease totals. There's just too much variance involved in totals, and the 6 points you get won't help you enough on totals. And for that same reason is why you don't tease in college football in general. College football scoring is just so much more volatile. Um, Now, a disclaimer here too. I actually meant to say this at the beginning, but forgot, and nobody's probably even listening at this point. But um, like what I've discussed in this video really is like the general optimized Wong teaser strategy. Are there people who are finding mathematical edges in pricing with like 10 point or 10 team, like 13 point multi like teasers or whatever? Yeah, of course. But understand who this video is for. Like the demographic is the average sports bettor. I say this because I know someone's going to comment, bro. I can get 7.5 leg teasers at plus 400 on Jim Bob's book. That's plus EV. That's awesome, but understand who this video is intended for here. Um, and for anyone besides my mother who's actually watched this far, thank you. I'm impressed. You very likely have potential to become like a successful bettor just for the simple fact you're interested in learning and willing to listen to me talk this long. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment or even DM me. I'd happily expand on a topic or clear something up that wasn't clear. But I'll stop here. Until next time, good luck with your bets.